This will be the first portion of the assembly lesson from Chapter 13. I am starting on page 13-8, so I am selecting New. I am selecting an assembly drawing and clicking OK. Once I get in here, I am going to, let's see, it says to click the X here on Begin Assembly so that options will be available, and I can go to Document Properties, change my drafting standard to ANSI, and double check that my units are in inch/pound/seconds. Okay, ready to begin. So inserting the first component. Page 13-9 directs me to the Insert Component button, and I click on Browse, and the first component that's coming in is the base plate. Turn the page. Okay. Click Open, and click to place the base plate. Okay, so here is the base plate showing up in my tree, and the F means that it's a fixed part. It's one that's not going to be able to move around. The other ones will move around in relation to it. And everything about my base plate is right here. I'll just collapse that again. Inserting the second component. Okay, and I shall browse. And the second one will be the bearing. And we'll just put it over here for right now. Okay. The bearing has the little minus sign right there, meaning it's a floating part. We're going to start assigning some mates to these parts on page 13-11. So here's your mate tool. If I happen to ever refer to them as constraints, it would be because I learned the Autodesk Inventor program first before I learned SolidWorks, so I got used to calling these constraints. Page 11-12 goes through several of the mates and describes what they will do. But page 11, I'm sorry, page 11-12. Page 13-12. Page 13-13 is where we will apply this first mate. Select this surface, and I need to select the bottom of the bearing. I can use my arrow keys. I can use that up arrow key, and then just click right here and accept that mate. Okay, so this is what it did so far. It mated one surface to the other, but obviously these parts need a few more mates, don't they? So on page 13-14 and 13-15, we will be applying the second mate. Step 1, applying the second mate, says to turn on the temporary axis. Okay, that would be, which one of these? Temporary, okay. Now we have our temporary axes. Okay. And we are in the mates tool yet. So I will select this axis right here. There we go. And this axis. Come on, turn yellow. And I will click OK up here to apply the coincident mate to these. At this point, it's attached right here, but if I just hold my left mouse button down and move the part, I can see that it rotates quite freely from that axis. And basically that's what they are doing on page 13-16. So now I need to apply a third mate. they're going to apply this one between the planes, okay? So first of all, I need to go here and click this so that my planes will be visible. Then I need to expand the base plate. Come on, expand. It's hard to get that little plus. Grr. There we go. And the bearing. Okay. So I would like the front plane of the base plate to be selected and the front plane of the bearing. Okay. On the top of 13-18, they tell you, well, they also always have you, try the anti-aligned to see what it'll do. Okay. Just to know whether you want to use aligned or anti-aligned down here. If you happened to start your base plate on the front plane and when you extruded it, if you extruded from the midpoint, then you would use a coincident mate on these. But if you did like I did, I started the base plate on the front plane and just extruded it back, and yet I started the bearing on the front plane and extruded it midpoint. Okay, so in that case, rather than coincident, it would be parallel, and it's already selected parallel for me, so I will just accept that. Okay, it's not going anywhere now, is it? Nowhere at all. Okay, we're going to insert the collar. So I better accept that mate first, right? Insert component, browse, collar, and it's going to come in at some weird angle. Yes, okay. And go to my mate tool. I'm going to turn this around just a little bit because I know they want me to select this surface right here of the collar. Okay. And I'll begin selecting my surfaces. I want this surface on the collar, and I want this surface on the bearing. Okay. That looks like a case where I really do want the anti-aligned, doesn't it? So let's come down here and select that. Whoops, or aligned, I'm sorry. Okay. Anti-aligned was selected. I wanted the aligned. Okay, well that flipped it around. That's nice. Let's accept that one. Okay. I want to get to just a regular isometric view. Now I can still move this up and down. Okay, it needs another mate yet. And that will be added on page 1320. Okay, oh, I'm still in mates. Okay, great. I want this surface, and then let's try this up arrow key and see what it does. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I want this surface, and we'll accept that mate. Going back to my isometric view. Ooh, slippery view. This is one that I will be able to turn. When I open your assembly, I don't know if you can see that, if I zoom right in. If you notice just the little segments of the line up here will change as I rotate it. So it's possible to rotate this thing back and forth. Okay. And that's how we want that part to be. Okay, so the next thing that's going to come in is a cap screw, and it's coming in with a smart mate. Insert the cap screw first, let's come right out of here, accepting that mate. I keep forgetting to accept the mates at the end, don't I? Insert, browse, cap screw. Okay, so here's my cap screw. Page 13-22. Okay, I have to follow these very carefully. It says, select the circular edge of the cap screw and hold down your left mouse button. Hold down the Alt key and drag this onto the circular face down here until I see that little peg in hole icon. Release the Alt key. If the alignment is incorrect and the screw is upside down, then I got to press the Tab key. But the screw is not upside down, so I can let it go. And there it is. It will not move up and down on me now. It will just turn around, which that's a degree of freedom that it's still supposed to have. It can turn, but I can't pull it up and down. Okay. This circle right here at the bottom, that is from the cosmetic thread. We will get rid of that toward the end. Okay. Whoops, I want to roll this way and turn a little bit like that. Okay, for the second screw, they're going to apply that mate. Still hard for me to get used to calling them mates. They're going to apply that mate as you drag the screw into your assembly file. So it says up here on your little open icon, left mouse click, select cap screw, and open. From your window pull-down menu right here, select tile horizontally. Okay, now you have two. I need to rotate that screw so it looks like the top of page 1323. Well, that looks pretty good. I need to make this my active drawing. Why did those move over like that? Oh, much bigger can I make it? There we go. Okay. So they're all lined up. So step 12 at the bottom of 13-23, using the left mouse button, click and hold down. Drag it into the other screen. Where are you? Until I see that peg and hole icon, and release it. And then I should be able to close the cap screw window and maximize this window again. Oops. Okay. Notice the ISO circles representing the bottom of the cosmetic threads. In the Feature Manager design tree, okay, right over here, right-click on the cosmetic thread icon under Cap Screw 1. Okay, this is going to be way down here. Cap Screw 1, I've got to open it up first of all. The cosmetic thread is part of the revolve, so let's open that up. Okay, and this is what we're going to right-click on. All right, and just hit the glasses. And it should have taken care of both of them. It did. All right. I want to go back to isometric view. And the assembly is complete here. So at this point, let's turn those temporary X's off, because we don't want those to show up in our completed assembly. And there are a couple of pages that talk about exploding an assembly. So if you wanted to set up an exploded view, you would have to go to this button right here. And then it says select a component. When I do, all these drag and rotate rings are showing up, and I could drag this one. Oh, I even get a little ruler for how far I might like to drag it up. Okay, I'm selecting a second component, this one. So on. Okay. So you can see what it would be like. Okay. I would just have to drag one more screw up, and it would look like the top of page 13-26. After accepting this, saying OK, I can go to my Configuration Manager tab. That is this tab right here. I can open the plus right here, and it says to double-click on Exploded View 1, and it'll all collapse right back to the original assembly. Okay. At this point, we're going to end the first part of the assembly demo, and I would like you to create a folder that has it'll say your three initials assembly, and into that folder put this assembly file and put all four parts, the base plate, the bearing, the collar, and the cap screws. Because if the part files, remember everything's associative in SolidWorks, and if the part files are not in the same folder with your assembly, when I open the assembly, none of the parts will show up. Okay, so there will be a drop box for the assembly folder, and it won't let you put a folder in the drop box. In the drop box, you're going to have to put your assembly file and all four of your parts. That's right. So it would be good to have them all in a folder, because then they're all available to you wherever you would take that folder. You know, the part files would be with the assembly files. But in our particular drop boxes, yes, you can only put files, not folders. So the one for assembly, put your assembly file in there, and also put 4 part files in there. Okay?